only mode.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this very special webinar today. This one's called The Rise of the Selfie, How Marketers Can Leverage Digital Trends in Pop Culture, and really talking about cashing in on those internet crazes that our students often are part of. How do we get our message through these? Our presenters today are Jacqueline Castine and Gemma Davies, both of them from the UK. Oh, sorry, not from the UK. Oh, yeah. Oh, maybe you are. Jackie, are you based in London right now? You are?
Yeah, I'm based in London, but originally from America.
Fantastic. And Gemma, where are you speaking to us from today?
I'm in Manchester in the UK.
Brilliant. So I was right. Both of them speaking to us from the UK, and it's very early there. The first part of this webinar will be presented by Jackie. Jackie is an international education marketing consultant at the moment, but some of you would know Jackie from ISEF Monitor. Jackie has over 15 years of marketing experience in the international education industry and the student travel industry, and has also worked in publishing, lead generation, retail, and financial services. Jackie has lived in 8 countries, and that's why I needed to check whether she was still based in London. She is now at the moment based in London. A lot of you might know Jackie joined ISEF in 2011 to launch ISEF Monitor, which is now the most popular website for international student recruitment. After more than 4 years of building the monitor, Jackie has recently decided to take up new challenges and is now a freelance consultant, working with clients on recruitment and retention strategies through the use of online and offline marketing techniques. Jackie runs training sessions and masterclasses and is a regular presenter, plenary speaker, and panelist at various global events throughout the year. And we are really hoping that sometime soon Jackie will be in Australia to present to us. So Jackie, over to you.
Oh, thank you so much, Aparna. I would love to come back to Australia. I was there last year, and it's just beautiful. So hopefully, if any luck is with me, I'll make it down there again. Very tempting offer. Okay, so we're going to cover a range of different viral concepts today. Just trying to make sure I can advance to the next slide. You know, there might be sometimes a delay on the program. So, Aparna, could you maybe?
Yep, sure. And I'm just going to make sure that you do have the controls.
Okay. Just a little bit of testing this morning or this evening.
There you go, Jackie. Give that a go.
No, it doesn't seem to be going.
There you go.
Ah, great. Excellent. Okay, so so just a quick. Oop, now it's gone too fast. I was hoping to be on. It's a little trigger happy. Maybe I went a little too fast. We should be on the table of contents slide, but what to expect today? Yeah. Okay, so we just wanted to give you a quick overview of what you can expect within the next hour. So we'll cover different viral concepts like selfies and hashtags and memes, and we'll show you how you can leverage these pop culture trends in your marketing efforts in order to connect with and engage millennials. We'll also share some examples with you, both from within the education industry and beyond. And we'll also review the power of user-generated content and give you a few tips on how to spot a new trend to help you decide if you should jump into the conversation or not. And if you do, we'll give you a few top tips as well. Now, we're pretty sure that most of you out there have taken a few selfies in your time. If you're following us on Twitter, you'll see a few of our own selfies as well, of course. And we're not alone. Some reports out there say that 91% of teenagers have taken selfies. And of course, we've also got our memes. Next slide, if this is gonna, hope it's gonna be working with me today, but I'm not sure. Sorry about this. You see me get all fast and then I slow down as I wait for the next slide, but I'm not sure why it's not going. But the next slide on memes was just a few fun, quick examples to show you a few fun memes. But it doesn't, sorry Aparna, it just doesn't seem to be.
Not a problem. Are you using your arrow keys, Jackie?
Yeah, I'm trying the mouse and the arrow keys.
Okay.
But okay, we'll see what happens on slide 3. Maybe third time's a charm. So of course we've got a few fun examples of memes over there. And I'm going to wager that most of you have seen things like this before. But now we're a bit curious. How many of you out there have used selfies or memes in your marketing? So we'll take a quick poll question right now. And I think Aparna's got a quick poll on the slide that'll pop up. Thanks, Aparna. So this isn't just liking a selfie that maybe a student posted, but how many of you have actually made a campaign around selfies or memes? So we'll give you a minute to go ahead and vote. And we'll wait for those to come through just now. How's it looking, Aparna? I think you can see how the polls are going. We got some votes in.
Yes, so we have 31% say yes and 69% say no.
Okay, all right, 69%. So don't worry, 69% of you, you're in the right session. We'll give you a few tips today, but around 30%, that's pretty good. Normally when we ask, there's only a few hands that go up in the room. So it's good that there's at least more and more people starting to jump in on the selfie trend. Could we go back to the selfie collage picture? Great. Okay, so let's see if we're in business now. Oh, yeah, there we go. Okay, so excellent. So as we can see, we're all very familiar with memes, and we're all taking selfies. So this is a normal part of our lives now. It's accepted, it's frequent behavior, so we're all doing it. Yet very few of us are actually using this in our marketing, only about 30% as we saw today. So that's kind of noteworthy because we know that the most effective marketing is the kind that resonates with our potential consumers, and it gives them a feeling or a message that they can relate to. And well, who can't relate to a selfie, right? We've all taken one. So we'll kick off by talking about the biggest trend of them all, the glorious selfie. Now I'll share some fun facts with you. Back in 2013, in 1 week, the word selfie was mentioned in Facebook status updates over 368,000 times. And on Twitter, the hashtag selfie was used in more than 150,000 tweets. And that was in just 1 week. Now that same year, the Oxford Dictionary declared the word selfie as the word of the year. And of course now it's 3 years later, and as we see, we are all still addicted to the limelight. In total, there's over 300 million selfies posted on Instagram, and Google claims that 93 million selfies are taken each day. So 93 million selfies a day. From babies to grandmas to celebrities, cartoon characters, even world leaders, even the Pope has taken selfies. And over here in London at the Madame Tussauds Museum, selfie queen Kim Kardashian's wax figure is in her famous selfie pose, and you can actually take a selfie with her. That's a functioning camera in that phone. Now, not only has the selfie exploded in popularity, it has also evolved into new forms. There's the uglies, the intentionally bad selfies. There's the no makeup selfies, which actually raised more than £8 million for Cancer Research UK in just 1 week. So it seems that no matter where you look, no one is really immune to selfie fever. Now, take you to the next slide. Sorry, I'm always a bit hesitant on changing slides here, but we'll take it to the next slide. Great. So we see that in terms of countries, Australia, you guys really take the cake here because actually Australia takes the most selfies out of any country in the world, so congratulations there. But in terms of cities, Makati City, which is actually known as the financial center of the Philippines, is the selfie capital of the world. And if we consider selfies in fashion, proving that selfies are fashionable, on the high street in London, front and center in French Connection, I found a pile of selfie sweatshirts just waiting to be worn. Now, I'm not really too sure how popular those were, though. I mean, clearly, not everything selfie is good. So the amount of inappropriate selfies out there is particularly staggering. So I really had to restrain myself when I made this next slide. There are people out there who are taking selfies with seemingly no regard for the places that they're in, whether it's disrespectful or dangerous. And so sadly, as a result, we also see a dark side to the selfie trend, with headlines from around the world showing some of the tragic results that some selfies have produced. We also have countless reports as to the psychological impact of selfies, with mental health experts cautioning us against them, observing how they encourage low self-esteem and an over-reliance on approval from others. But let's take a step back for a minute now. I mean, is the selfie phenomenon really such a new thing? Sculptors and painters have been making self-portraits for centuries. And of course, once the camera was invented, people began experimenting with selfies. The first one, in fact, dates back to 1839. And before we had the self-facing camera, courtesy of our smartphones, we made do with tripods, timers, mirrors, and outstretched arms, just hoping for that clean shot. But what is new is how much society has embraced the selfie. It is pervasive. For example, I was walking around in Leeds, up in north of England. This was last spring, and I came across a selfie corner in one of their many shopping plazas. And over in Sydney, down your way, at the 1888 Hotel, there's a selfie frame in the hotel lobby, just waiting for you to fill it. So do go check it out if you're down there in Sydney. Now, these are some fairly simple ideas, and they're nice, but I was kind of thinking, what could make these even better? Well, how about if you had a screen displayed in the selfie corner or next to the frame that showed a stream of what had been snapped and hashtagged earlier that day to show how much fun people were having in the selfie corner and that it was actually being used. Otherwise, it almost looks a little bit lonely and sad. Maybe people could be even shy to go up and use it at all. Another idea, maybe you've got a live feed of the selfie frame on the hotel's website, and that could show the latest shared content, kind of merging that offline and online situation. Now, usually if selfie takers know that their images will gain even more publicity, they're inclined to engage with a brand even more. Now, Dunkin' Donuts certainly banked on that notion when they got fans to post their selfies with the hashtag MyDunkin' for a chance to have their photo featured on the company's Facebook page and on a digital billboard in Times Square, New York City. Can't get too much more public than that. But of course, there's also plenty of brands out there who have run contests asking fans to post selfies and rewarding them with free tours, vacations, hotel stays, products. And as you can see, this goes for all kinds of consumers, teenagers, couples, kids. There's a nice Minions example there, families. Now, you'll notice that the concepts of reacting, engaging, and rewarding young people for what they post online is a key factor in a lot of the examples that we'll share today. And this isn't only for students. As I mentioned, everyone is in on the selfie trend, so we can think about our agents as well. Now, here's another example. This one is from Travel Weekly. Now, this is an industry magazine which is geared towards travel, geared towards travel agents. Now, when Disney World launched their product, MyMagic Plus, they knew that they needed to get agents excited, but they also needed to explain these new tools to them. Now, MyMagic Plus is essentially a way for park visitors at Disney to personalize their visit and arrange every detail online in advance. So a bit complicated. And Disney decided to buy a 4-page wrap around the magazine, and they really got so many elements right here. I hope it comes across digitally. I've got the magazine. I can ship it out to anyone if you like. But they had a 3D element on the magazine itself. So as you can see, there's a mask there. That's actually a mask that you can rip off from the outside of the magazine. So it really grabbed your attention. Now, out of the 4-page advert, they also used an entire page to clearly outline step-by-step what this new product meant for agents. And that was actually the copy on one of the pages. It literally said, "What does this mean for you?" So if you've heard the phrase, "What's in it for me?" they use very plain language to speak directly to their agent audience and tell them exactly why they should care about this new product. But if we go back to the mask was their engagement tool. Now, on the back cover of the magazine, they asked all of their super agents to put on their superhero mask and take a selfie of them wearing it. And then they asked them, of course, to share the picture online. So you see, the mask was also tied to Disney's superhero theme of The Incredibles. So it made sense for the brand. I'm sure we've all seen the photo booths that have props like big hats and feather boas when you're taking selfies. And those are really fun. But if we think about it for a minute, they really have not much to do with a particular school's brand. And they can apply to anything and anyone. Anyone can put on a silly hat. So I would encourage you that if you do use props in selfie campaigns, whether it's face-to-face or online, try to make those props more memorable and related to your school's identity. So just as they've done here, related to the Disney brand and the Disney identity. So they also tied in a reward element as well, because they gave away 100 Disney movie box sets to anyone who participated in the contest. So again, there was that idea of reacting, engaging, and rewarding. So it was a bit quirky, a bit fun and engaging, not too expensive in terms of advertising, simple wrap around the magazine, but it was also very measurable as well, because they could see exactly how many agents saw the news about My Magic Plus, because those were the ones who posted the selfies. And of course, in doing so, they multiplied Disney's reach on social media, and they latched on to the popular selfie craze. So for those of you who are offering new programs or maybe opening up new schools, maybe this is an example that can inspire you to think about how to get your agents involved and excited about what you're doing. So again, we'll go back to that selfie frame idea. Now, let's imagine that you had a selfie frame set up at your school, and you shared these posts on your website. And right next to that call to action, right next to that stream on your website showing people in the selfie frame having a great time, you've got a nice clear call to action like, want to join them? Click here to apply now. So now you've got the selfie frame, you've got students in your campus having fun, enjoying themselves, taking selfies, what they do best, and you're enabling your current students to show off a bit about where they are and what they're doing. And they're creating all of this content for you, and they're sharing it for you. But by attaching a call to action, you're leveraging that feeling that anyone who isn't there is really missing out. Now, you've probably heard of the term FOMO, fear of missing out, and that's very big with millennials. So here's another chance to play on that. But of course, we'll stick to the hotel industry for now. Now, the hotel industry initiated the braggy trend as well, which is another extension of the selfie. But the difference here is that hotels are rewarding guests who share their experiences, or in other words, brag, online. So hotels realized that guests were enthusiastically turning up to their hotel and, of course, posting photos of themselves upon arrival, enjoying where they were. The problem here, though, is that the hotel brand was often left out of the conversation. So accommodation providers got wise. They started offering some perks like free Wi-Fi, gift vouchers, discounts, contest entries, and so forth if people tagged the hotel within their posts. Now, if we step back and we think about how many times students take selfies at your school but leave you out of the conversation. Now, if there's 93 million selfies taken every day around the world, especially with Australia being the selfie capital country, now if you owned even 0.001% of that, that equates to 930 selfies taken every day on your campus. But where is your brand? Wouldn't it be great to have students creating free content for you? 930 pieces of content every day where your brand is mentioned for free? It's possible. So again, I remind you of the concepts of rewarding, reacting, engaging, and rewarding young people for what they post online. So remember that concept of the braggy. It's kind of like reward them and they will come. Now, in terms of selfie spin-offs, we have the braggy trend, as discussed. We also have the infamous selfie stick, which has spawned a whole raft of reactions. And some hotels are also loaning out these branded selfie sticks to guests, just like they do with umbrellas. Except here they're asking guests to use their bespoke hotel hashtag when guests share the pictures that they take with the branded selfie stick. Now, we're also starting to see them do this with branded GoPros as well. So again, chances to get the brand's name involved in everything that a person is doing, no matter where they are in that destination. So something to really keep in mind. But we've also got some innovative brands that went a step further. I've got another hotel example. This one is from the Soul Wave House by Malia. Now, this was a new concept that they tested, and it's done very well for them. Now, the entire hotel is geared up for social media fans, and they enable their guests to contact their staff via tweets. So, for example, you could use something like hashtag #AskKaren for help when you're in the hotel or even before arrival. Now, you can also get a cab using the hashtag #WaveTaxi. And you can find other guests as well using location-based hashtags around the hotel. So for example, something like hashtag Ballybed7, which is located by the pool, and it can be booked via Twitter before arrival. So selfies by the pool, selfies with a mustache, whatever picture you're taking, Malia wants in on the conversation. And that shows you something about their brand. They're fresh, they're in the moment, they're fun, maybe a bit silly. I mean, come on, people are on holiday after all, right? So have a bit of fun. But the entire campaign and the entire hotel itself gives you a feeling that you will have a very social holiday, that you'll interact with other guests, and that you'll have fun. And the hotel will help you to do that. And whatever you need, it's only a hashtag away. So Malia is doing a great job here to be part of their guests' holidays and keep that conversation going before, during, and after their guests are back home. So another great example to keep in mind, and you can easily apply it to education. You could create hashtags for various locations around your school as well, especially those hot spots for socializing together, like cafeteria, library, maybe a fitness center, or study halls, dormitories. Now, the whole premise behind social media is to bring people together. Social media gives you that common ground. It's the glue that holds us all together today. Now, not only is it a common bond, it's also a source of help. So it can work really well to use hashtags for places where new students need the most help. So maybe a language school has a hashtag for their reception. And a university might have different tags for a student services department, financial aid, or a housing department. Or you could simply use your school name combined with keywords like help or ask. Now, we know that international students can also suffer from culture shock upon arrival, and in general, it's just natural for anyone to feel a bit nervous when they're in a new place, trying to make new friends. If they don't know where to start, usually the thing that they're going to do is turn to social media. If they're at a loss, if they're killing time, that's their comfort zone. So here's your chance to welcome them, to guide them, and to embrace them. But okay, beyond hotels, what other brands are leveraging selfie trends? Well, Dove has been using selfies to harness the power of emotion around beauty. Now, you probably saw their Real Beauty Sketches video. They've also done a Love Your Curls campaign and a Beauty Is campaign. Now, if you note the long time span on these videos as well, we're normally told to keep content short today. Most new content is minified. Twitter, 140 characters, Snapchat, 10 seconds, Vine, 6 seconds. Yet here, the Beauty Sketches video held their audience for over 6 or 7 minutes. And just a month after its release, this video received 114 million views, making it the most successful video ad campaign to date. A lot of powerful storytelling there. The video was uploaded in 25 languages and viewed in more than 110 countries. But all of these campaigns from Dove harness the power of emotion and their focus on capturing a person's unique beauty. So beauty is not within the eye of the beholder. Beauty is within you. And beauty is in everyone. And what better way to express your beauty than to take a self-portrait? The selfie is your self-image. It's how you view yourself and how you want others to view you. Now, for young people today, it's simultaneously empowering, but also a bit nerve-wracking to have that ability to control their image as it appears to a mass audience on a non-stop basis. Now, some people might write off the selfie as the most narcissistic movement in the history of mankind, but others will in fact embrace the selfie as one of the biggest windows into a consumer's lifestyle and mindset. Now, this might look like selfie after selfie from a lot of attention seekers, but in the midst of all of that, there is self-expression. This is storytelling. Now, every picture here has a story behind it. She's getting ready to go out. Where? Another girl. She's encouraging her mate James. Why? And, uh-oh, those two girls, they don't look too happy. What's going on there? Now, I'm not sure if you can see in the slide, but there's a sign behind them that says authorized persons only. So clearly they can't get in somewhere they wanted to go. So there's a sad selfie, but there's a story going on right there. And of course, there's lots of selfies that have happy stories, travels, adventures, and of course, accomplishments. So selfies we see are also shared content that tells you something about where that person was or how they might be feeling. And the location, the activities, and the emotions, these are all things that marketers love to know about their potential consumers. And certainly, selfies are a form of user-generated content, or UGC, which is generally defined as media created by your peers. Now, this includes blog posts, pictures, videos, tweets, reviews, basically any content from a non-professional who created it not to get paid, but simply to share an opinion or information. Basically, UGC is free, everything else would have a cost. Now, UGC is also called earned media or citizen media because now, thanks to technology, everyone is an instant publisher, which means that there is an awful lot of content out there. Now, for example, 93 million selfies taken a day. It's now estimated that there's over 1.8 billion photos shared online every day. And that's just photos. Now, this is a breakdown of that content by platform from Mary Meeker's popular Internet Trends report. You can see Facebook's holding steady, but there's a clear rise in the popularity of WhatsApp and Snapchat, with each of them reporting about 700 million photos sent per day. Now, both of these apps are primarily used for messaging, but the preference of using those platforms to share photos shows you that photos are less precious than they used to be. Photos are now expendable, so they aren't so much for capturing memories anymore as they are for communicating. Now, if we look again at user-generated content, as we said, this is earned media. How does it compare to other types of media? Well, research tells us that millennials are spending about 5 hours a day, or 30% of their media time, engaged with user-generated content. And most of that is found on social networks. Now, they also say that user-generated content has more influence over their purchasing decisions, 53% versus 44% for traditional media, in fact. Now, if we look at this influential breakdown, it really makes me wonder, how does your budget compare with these numbers? If millennials are saying that this is how they rank what influences them, then how are your resources divvied up? Are you putting, for example, twice as many resources into enabling students to create UGC as you're putting into online advertising? So something to consider. Now, last one is a quick note on user-generated content. Not only is it more influential, millennials say that they trust information found in UGC over 50% more than information from traditional media sources. And they also find it 35% more memorable than that from other sources. So we see that UGC is authentic, it's free, it's never-ending, and it has reach. Younger consumers are spending more time with UGC, they trust it more, they remember it more. So today, it's peer-created content or consumer-to-consumer marketing that drives trust and engagement. The last little section for me, I'll give you a few tips so that you can try this at home. Now, first and foremost, if you want to connect with young people, you need to become a part of their world. The students won't come to you, you've got to go to them. So know where they are online, understand their behavior and their preferences for communicating on those different social platforms. Now, we know that Generation Y and Z love communicating through visuals, so you need to shift your thinking away from text and towards a more open, artistic, creative way of getting your message across and your brand values as well. Now, of course, when it comes to trends, you want to keep up with your celebrities, artists, and musicians. This is youth culture. This is pop culture. So this is where all the trends really kick off. But it's also important to know when to join the conversation. Timing is everything. If you wait too late, you're kind of like that mom who, got onto the trend a bit late and is trying to be cool, and we know that just never works. Now, if we think back to the Ice Bucket Challenge, once the celebrities started doing it, it really took off, and that's when you knew it was time to definitely get in on the trend. Now, we know that one of your biggest challenges here might be trying to get approval from above to participate and jump in on those trends, because that speed is key and you need to get in while it's hot. So think in advance and see if you can try to agree on some guidelines so that you don't get stuck waiting too long for approval and then missing that wave. Now, it's also easy to get worried about what kind of content might pop up online. So you do need to be prepared for all kinds of UGC, good, bad, and ugly. So have a plan, monitor your brand online, and be ready to take action at all times. Now, of course, this is a big list of kind of top tips on what to do to react if something negative does happen online. We're not going to go through it. It's just a slide for you to take away and look at later. But let's talk a little bit about how to spot a trend. Now, first of all, of course, we said that celebrities are a great way to tell you something is popular. Another one is the Oxford Dictionary. Now, as I mentioned, selfie was the word of the year in 2013. Now, if you're curious what last year's word of the year was, you probably wouldn't guess because, in fact, it's not even a word. For the first time ever, the Oxford Dictionary's word of the year is actually an image. It's an emoji that you see just there on the screen, that little pictograph, which is technically called faces with tears of joy, which is sort of like the picture version of LOL. I think it looks kind of creepy, but anyway, it just shows you how much people are using images to communicate rather than words, even the Oxford Dictionary themselves. Massive shift in culture there. Now, other ways to spot a trend include best of lists, like those from Time magazine. They've got a list of top 10 of everything. For example, in 2014, that gave us 3D printers, smartwatches, and the selfie stick. And of course, 2013 gave us selfie. Now, if you want to keep up with music, movies, arts, keep an eye on big trends as well. I always recommend to pick out a few of your favorite top brands and then follow them for inspiration. And most importantly, if you're trying to figure out what kind of content will go viral, it will almost always be something that touches their emotions and inspires them or shocks them or makes people laugh. So keep that in mind as well. Now, my final takeaway slide for you is a quick list of some of the biggest pop culture trends that we've seen over the last year or so. So you can take these back home and think about what you might have done to join in on these conversations if they were still going on right now. So kind of a practice exercise. So on that note, I'm going to now turn the mic over to Gemma, or to Aparna actually, who will introduce Gemma. And Gemma's going to share some personal examples of how peer-to-peer content and pop culture trends are further used in student recruitment. Thank you very much.
Jackie, thank you so much. That was fantastic. So many ideas. And Gemma, before we move on, I'll just bring up your slides.
Okay.
And hand you the controls. Okay, there you go. That should come up now. So fantastic.
Thank you.
Excellent. So we now have Gemma, who is the International Education Marketing Manager at SMRS, one of the largest education marketing agencies in the UK. Gemma has had 7 years of experience specializing in international education marketing, and in this time she's worked both within a university and a marketing agency. Gemma previously worked at the University of Groningen. Gemma, did I get that right?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's pretty good? Okay. And was responsible for marketing the university in 25 countries around the world to support a goal of 5,000 international students on campus. Gemma specialized in online marketing, and her responsibilities included analytics management, establishing ROI, return on investment, and supporting the departments and faculties with their marketing objectives. So Gemma, welcome, and take it away.
Thank you, Aparna, and thank you, Jackie, for that great introduction. Yes, my experience has been very hands-on, doing a lot of marketing campaigns, and with the rise of ad blockers, user-generated content is very, very important to make sure that your message cuts through to the right audience. So we've been speaking to a lot of clients, so a lot of education clients, about user-generated content, and selfies keep coming up. So it's led me to come up with some top tips for those of you who haven't done selfie campaigns, and for those who have done selfie campaigns, I'm sure you can relate to some of these tips that I'm going to share with you. So I've gone on to the next slide. I hope it works. No, it's a bit slow.
It is
Oh,
a
I
bit
think it's coming.
slow. It is coming, yes.
It's coming. Perfect. So my top tip number one is to set an objective. So why are you doing it? Are you doing it because everyone else is, or do you have a real reason, a real problem that you might need to solve? So once you've identified that, set some objectives and try to make them smart. It can be anything as simple as getting 10 selfies back, increasing international traffic or student traffic to your website. And by doing that, you'll know that it's been successful or not, and then you can report back to senior management to say, hey, this worked, or this didn't, or we saw this happen as a result, which will allow you to get some traction for some future bigger projects. You can copycat other education-specific campaigns, selfie campaigns. I've seen that quite a lot. And there's no harm in doing that at all. It's just make sure that you have an element where it makes it your own. So my first very good example is the University of Loughborough. This is my favourite example of a selfie campaign. They had a problem where they were reducing their marketing budget. They needed to recruit more students, and they wanted to increase additional word of mouth and make sure that students were selecting them as an institution when they were going through clearing. So I don't know how many of you know about clearing in the UK. It's when a student hasn't got a place at university and they're a bit of a free-for-all. They can opt for any university that they want to go to. So Loughborough wanted to increase their share of voice, their word of mouth, what people were hearing about them through social media, so people would select them as first choice. So when you get your results, exam results in the UK, they really wanted to harness that excitement, that enthusiasm, and so they came up with a campaign where they sent out a pack to students, and inside that pack they had an online registration form so they could log in to find out if they were successful. And on the other side of that registration form was a detachable Polaroid-sized photo frame that you can see on this screen here. And they've put their logo in the top right-hand corner, and they've created a hashtag, #IamIn. So the students were given some very simple instructions, and they were asked to hold the frame in front of their face and take a selfie and send it via Twitter and Instagram and Facebook with that hashtag. So what was the response? Well, the results were quite incredible. The first selfie came in at 10 a.m. They had over 3 million impressions on their website. They had a 400% increase in likes on Facebook, 116% increase in Twitter impressions, and 213,574 page views on their application page, their clearing page, where people could call and find out more about a place at that university. I'm still trying to find out how many students actually enrolled as a result of this campaign, but from those results at the moment, it looks relatively good. And I'm sure some of you have got the social media software like Hootsuite, but here's a little dashboard to show you exactly the sort of tweets that came in that day. Even the Tasmanian Devil in the bottom left-hand corner there got a mention, and they've expanded this campaign. So this was very much I am in, and now they've got students while they're there, so I am here. So they're documenting their student life while they're actually on campus. So it's quite a nice progression of a campaign to forward think. It doesn't have to be so short term. My next top tip is to have a cause. And it's not essential to have a cause, but it does resonate with a lot more people. As Jackie earlier mentioned about the cancer research, the no makeup selfie and how it raised £8 million a week, a lot of people resonate with it and relate to it a lot more, so it just spreads that bit further. For an example, there's a campaign happening in the UK called WEAREINTERNATIONal. And it's a protest against the immigration bill. So I'm sure many of you have heard how the UK government are changing visa regulations and immigration rules, that international students have to leave the UK pretty much straight away after they graduate unless they're earning a lot of money in their first job. So this project was led by the University of Sheffield, but it was inviting education organisations from across the UK. So it was foundation providers, English schools, universities to all come together to highlight the number of international friendships in the UK. And this is a classic example for English Australia. There's no reason why you can't all join together as one unit and come together and do a campaign together. You don't have to do it as individual schools. So they were originally going to the politicians and giving them a signed petition, but they wanted to get creative, and so they came up with a secret weapon, the selfie. So what they did, they hosted it on a central website, and they asked students to send in selfies with their international friends. And once you clicked on one of these pictures, you could see where the students were from, and you could click and find out more about their story, about their friendship. And this campaign actually won an award at the Times Higher Education Awards in 2014 of the Outstanding International Student Strategy Awards. And it's an ongoing initiative. So this, again, this isn't a very short-term campaign. This is very much longer term, making sure the ball's rolling just to continually make their point. So my third tip is to make sure it's student-led, to make sure that your customer is centric to your campaigns. That comes across as authentic, it comes across as genuine, and more believable. So again, it's that user-generated content. You can't force it. It's what other people are creating for you. There's a university in the States called Eastern Michigan University, and they made the students the stars. And they basically built billboards across freeways, and they wanted the students to fill those billboards. So they asked students to create selfies, and on the left-hand side of the screen you can see a selfie billboard campaign, and people got to vote which one they liked. And on the right-hand side there's a chap here who's found his billboard and has taken a selfie with it. And all the students got to pick a word to go with how they felt at being at this university. And his word was focused, I believe. And this campaign evolved again. It wasn't just billboards. They started creating T-shirts, posters, flyers, and radio commercials. So it grew a lot bigger than just the selfie. Another example is McGill. They wanted to highlight their study abroad feature. They had 150 photos submitted. Or is this one forwarded? Aparna, is it forwarded for me?
Yes.
Oh, perfect, thank you. Yeah, this is it. So they wanted to highlight the joys of studying abroad with their exchange, and they had 150 people submit photos, and they got to do an online voting system. So my previous example, it was very much a manual thing, but McGill decided to do it online, and yeah, they had hundreds of people voting, and it increased the awareness of exchange programs at McGill. Okay, my next top tip is to give away a prize. Again, this isn't an essential thing to do, but it's nice to have. I've seen some campaigns give away iPads and others give away onesies. I don't know if you know what onesies are, but they're sort of like an all-in-one big fluffy pyjama, basically. It's a great way to incentivize students. Students love the giveaway. They like something for nothing. And basically, it pushes them to get other people involved because they want your votes. So you get a lot more wider reach with that. And a little top tip within this top tip is to make sure you develop some terms and conditions to make sure that you're safe. And they don't have to be very extensive. It can just give the rules and regulations of the entry as to get the prize. So there's a university in India that wanted to engage teachers as well as students, and they came up with a hashtag MyTeacher Selfie. And they had an online voting platform that you can see on the right-hand side, and you can see how much traction it gained from having that online platform, and people can see how many votes they've got, and Arika can push her selfie out and make sure that she gets more votes. And yeah, it's just a nice, more interactive way of people to see exactly what the response is from people. So my next tip is to make sure that you keep it simple. provide everything that the student needs. I think I've highlighted that quite clearly in the previous examples I've given. Loughborough University gave them the pack and gave them very clear instructions about what to do. So simplicity is key to gain traction. So if you're asking them to print out a frame or to take a selfie at a specific location, it will slow things down. But like Jackie highlighted earlier, having a selfie wall, making it accessible might be handy, and very clear step-by-step instructions, probably don't go further than 3 or 4 steps, and have on-campus prompts. So the University of Salford, they had lots of Polaroid frames hanging throughout their campus on trees and in lecture halls where people could take selfies as and when they passed them. A really, really simple campaign is an adult education company in the States, and they highlighted, they wanted to say to students, tell us in 7 words or less what an adult education gives you hope for. And this is a nice, very super simple campaign. My only advice would be, if you were to do something similar to this, is to make sure you include a hashtag or your institution's logo, so those who do see it understand who's behind it. And my next tip is that selfies don't have to be photos. Boston University have created a very short video. Aparna, I might hand this over to you now just so you can make it full screen and things, if that's okay.
Sure. Thanks, Gemma. Now, to our audience listening out there, I'm going to try and play a YouTube video. But if you are not able to hear the audio, please do not panic. Gemma will provide the details on how you can find the video online. So here we go.
I
Yeah.
found myself in awe. I found myself making a difference. I found myself fighting Ebola. I found myself reading poet laureates. I found myself bionic. I found myself on television. I found myself in the clouds. I found myself winning an argument. I found myself screaming. I found myself a million light years away. I found myself home. I found myself. I found myself. I found myself. I found myself at VU.
So there's a very short video by Boston University that wanted to highlight the selfie trends, but highlight their facilities too. And that video is probably a very high production video, so you don't have to go something that extensive, but it just gives you an idea that you don't have to have a selfie where the student is frozen in time. You could have a 360-degree view and show off all of your facilities, which is quite a nice way to do that. So my final top tip, thank you, Aparna, is the hashtag. So always include a hashtag. It allows people to search for similar posts. So, for example, Jackie and I have already tweeted this morning on the selfie webinar hashtag, and you can click on the hashtag and find out more about other similar posts, which is quite nice to inspire those and to see who else is getting involved. We would recommend keeping the hashtag very short, and you don't have to worry about keeping your school name in it. Just think back to the reason about why you're doing the campaign in the first place. And my very, very nice example here, which is nothing to do with education specific, but make sure that you break up the hashtag to make sure it doesn't spell out any inappropriate words. There's a tweet here which went viral for all the wrong reasons, and I'll leave you to figure that out. But this is for Susan Boyle, that basically released a new album, and Sony wanted to promote how this new album was launching, and then it went viral for all the wrong reasons, and you can see that there. And I think that's it from me. I guess we'll open the floor to questions. Thank you for your time.
Gemma and Jackie, thanks again. These were such brilliant ideas, and what a great toolkit. I'm sure our marketers out there are waiting to go and try, are very, very keen to go and try these out in their own centers. So Jackie and Gemma will now be taking questions. Please use this opportunity to present any of your ideas or questions that you might have for them. But I do have one to start us off while our attendees are typing in their questions. So Gemma and Jackie, I think sometimes the perception is that what is trendy in Australia may not be trendy in another country that our international students come from. How is it that social media trends transcend the boundaries of countries and culture? Do you have any insight or thoughts on that?
Well, I think I'll leave that to Jackie because you highlighted quite how global the trend is.
Sure,
okay, thanks. Yeah, I'll kick off. Yeah, it's a great question. It's definitely important to keep in mind. One of the slides I had was kind of talking about how to tell what might be popular or trendy or what's going to work. So, for example, content that touches an emotion of some kind was one of the tips on there, or that shocks people or makes them laugh, or gives them something that they can relate to. Yeah. So I think there's some kind of, no matter how different we all are around the world, sounds kind of cheesy, but there's something to be said for people are people. You know, we all like celebrating good news, such as the example that Gemma gave with I Am In. So I think if you kind of, yeah, it's a bit of a funny question to maybe, it sounds a bit like a lighthearted answer, but it's sort of put yourself in their shoes. You know, what would you think would resonate with them? Of course, talking to agents on the ground and knowing more about your potential students. You can talk about student buying personas as well. You know, a campaign might resonate with a more enthusiastic Brazilian student than it would with a more serious, academically focused or more conservative culture somewhere else. But still, no matter what, stereotypes only hold so much weight. I mean, young people love celebrating online. They love sharing good moments in their life, or even bad moments like we saw with the sad selfie. So I think if you give students a reason to engage, they're more than happy to. But they also do, like Gemma pointed out as well, need clear instructions. So there's always got to be, and like I mentioned with the agent example as well, what's in it for me? Why should I do this? Why should I get involved? If you keep some of those kind of key elements in mind as you're planning the campaign, if you can answer all of those questions, then it's a pretty good start.
Fantastic.
Gemma, anything to add while I sort of think through if there's anything else to chime in on?
Yeah, I guess like cultural differences and things like, you know, you don't show, I remember doing a prospectus for a university in the UK, and we were doing a photo shoot, and a young lady, she was smiling and she was jumping up and down, and we took a photo and showed a bit of skin on her stomach, and we thought, oh, how would that be interpreted in the Middle East or in some Asian markets? Maybe we should have a bit more covered up. So I guess from that perspective, you have to think culturally like that. You don't want to be given instructions to push people out of their boundaries. But generally, I think the selfie trend is global, and I can't really think of anything more to add to your answer, Jeff.
That's fantastic, Gemma, and I think even culturally, there are things that resonate with all our young students, and somehow they all seem to be buying into the same kind of trends. And so thank you for those great points. Now, Gemma, here's a question for you about the copycat. Does that not infringe on copyright?
No, it doesn't. People, and when I said copycat, I don't mean for the University of Loughborough, for example. Like a university probably wouldn't directly copy the whole Polaroid campaign and have a hashtag I am in for them, but they could certainly do a clearing campaign with some Polaroids and a different hashtag and a different reason like that. There's a lot of universities that have copied the Polaroid idea, for example, but have utilised them in different ways. So I wouldn't directly copycat the whole campaign with the hashtag and the creatives and the printouts and the frames and everything like that. I would adapt it so it works for your institution, because every institution will have a different objective.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Jim.
if I could jump in on that as well. I think using props and like with the selfie frame idea in the post, or like I showed with selfie corners or selfie frame in a lobby, a physical frame, using kind of props and 3D elements is really a great idea for engagement. But again, I think it should always, rather than just copying what somebody else has done, you know, make it your own. As Gemma said, adapt it and make it fit your brand, make it make sense for your brand. So like with the Disney example, they have a superhero mask. Another example is a cruise ship from Holland, America. They were launching a new ship, and they decided to name the ship the Koningsdam, and Koning means king in Dutch. And so they sent out crowns, like paper crowns, to all of their travel agents and asked them to put on the paper crown and to post a selfie. So that crown went with the king, went with the ship, went with Holland, America, being Dutch. You know, there's all a huge tie-in. It's much more memorable, and it's connected to your brand. So try to use a prop that has something to do with your school. If it's a mascot, or I don't know, a flower from your state region or something like that, but something that has meaning.
Great point. Thanks, Jackie. We have another question about where to look for trends. It's very hard to keep up with what the youngsters are in with, and probably this is a question to do with the mum jumping on the bandwagon too late and being slightly awkward. With so many brand ambassadors and celebrities endorsing trends, how do we know where to look for trends that resonate with the younger crowd? I guess this is a question for Jackie and Gemma.
Yeah, you've got to be cool.
Sorry, Jackie. We did a presentation last week, didn't we, for English UK? And there's a really nice slide that we probably should have included, which shows the life cycle of a trend and when to attack it. Which is a shame we didn't include it this time. But Jackie, I don't know if you want to relate that slide, maybe.
Yeah, sure. So if you think about the concept of newsjacking, and if you think about it in terms of an arc, you know, once something kind of starts to get a bit trendy, it has this kind of slow climb and a build-up, and then at some point it reaches its height of popularity, and then it can do a very quick nosedive in terms of being cool. So let's stick to the ice bucket example, since most of us can relate to that and probably participated. Now that one took off and it started to build a little bit of steam, and it was actually kind of around before the celebrities jumped in. And once they did, it really took off. It's a very unusual example because it had a very long lifespan in terms of online kind of trends and culture trends. Of course, if you did it now, it would be completely irrelevant and out of touch. They actually tried to revive it, but it completely flopped. So definitely watching celebrities is one of the best ways, and sometimes you'll watch celebrities for all the wrong reasons, but celebrities are often the subject of a lot of memes. There's loads of things going around now about Leonardo DiCaprio. Will he ever win the Oscar? There's tons of memes about him never winning one, and now if he wins one, they're going to have to make a whole new set of memes. There's some things that you just know are coming. Other ways to think about trends in a way is really trends that are predictable is around holidays. We can't always tell what the next trend is going to pop up, what the next hashtag might be, but we know that Halloween is coming, or Valentine's Day is coming, or admissions cycles are coming. So we have our own trends almost that we can kind of use and leverage on. So we've seen some nice examples of people taking selfies of their Halloween costumes or of Spirit Week at a school. So something like that, graduation, of course, always, welcome weeks and things like that. Some things you can plan for. And in terms of following the trends, again, I also think watching some big companies, as I mentioned, some brands that really inspire you, something like a Burberry or a Virgin or, I don't know, big luxury brands that have the money to invest and that are going to be top of mind. Tesla, a great leader in terms of promoting a cause beyond just a product. Yeah. So if you kind of watch them and you see them doing things, it can really inspire you and let you know that something is catching on. There was another example we shared from Virgin when the Same-Sex Marriage Act went through. It started to really build some steam around the world, Ireland, different states in America. They jumped on board that and had a very quick campaign put up on social media of a picture with 2 champagne glasses, bit of lipstick on both glasses, and it said, "Time for a honeymoon." Now, this was very fitting to Virgin's brand, but it showed you they caught on to something that was going on in the news, in the media. It's not a pop culture thing, but it's certainly a newsworthy item, and that fit their brand to celebrate that in some way. So again, it kind of goes back to, you can follow news, you can follow trends and celebrities. It can seem really good and funny at the time, but if it doesn't fit your brand, maybe it's not right for you to jump in on it. If you had some kind of special services for let's say you've got like the LGBT month, I think it's in June or July or something, where they celebrate gay pride and all those things. If you've got some services or some special organizations at your institution, maybe there's a way to tie that in. So again, some kind of things might seem trendy, but you can also create some demand around them in advance and prepare for those things in advance.
That sounds fantastic, Jackie.
Anything else to add to that one, Gemma?
Yeah, I guess it depends on the size of the trend as well. So that lip dub trend that went round, where they went round university campuses and they had hundreds of students lip syncing to a song and showing off all the facilities. An operation like that takes weeks to organise, and a lot of universities were just slow at making that happen, and some amazing lip dubs were created but just never got seen because the sort of moment passed. So I guess depending on the scale of the trend, if it's a small trend, then you can quickly jump onto it and contribute to it. But if it's a larger trend, unless you're very organised and you've got a big student body that really want to embrace something that's happening, then yeah, it's hard to sort of judge. But like Jackie said, if it's something that resonates with your brand and your institution, then you should definitely pull something together.
Thank you so much, Gemma and Jackie. So many ideas, and I think I think my main takeaway for tonight was the fact that there are internal trends and seasons that we could be plugging into, rather than if we're sort of out of touch with this whole celebrity scene. But also, thank you for the very practical tips that we could apply within our context immediately. And I really wanted to thank you for taking the time out to come and do this presentation for us. Now, for our attendees, thanks for coming along. This session was recorded, so I will make the slides and the recording available for you on the English Australia website. That's it from us. Please don't stop asking us those questions. You can see Jackie and Gemma's emails and contact details on the screen. If you have any questions that you would like me specifically to pass on to them, please email me as well. And do connect with them on Twitter. And Jackie's not on Facebook, which is a bit of a shock, but we can connect.
I am.
Oh, you are. Okay.
I don't talk about work on Facebook, but you can still friend me.
Right.
We can have some fun.
Thank you very much, and I'm getting comments that are thanking you and saying they really enjoyed the session as well. So, Jackie and Gemma, thank you again.
No, thank you for having us.
And good night, everyone. The slides will be up next week. Please stay in touch. Good night.
Thanks. Bye-bye.